Which Premier League players are not getting the credit they deserve this season? And why is that? Well, to get into it on today's show, brought to you by Ball Sports, we've got JJ Bull and also Alex Barker. Right, this is how this is going to happen. We're going to be working our way up the pitch, starting with defenders. Alex, who have you chosen?
I have chosen Riccardo Calafiori.
Whoa, hottie.
Indeed, a very handsome man, who I owe an apology to, because at the start of the season, I had written him off for 3 reasons based on his first campaign at Arsenal.
Right.
Firstly, there were injuries. I mean, he missed, I think there were 6 separate spells on the sidelines at Arsenal, and given his injury history, I mean, it's not very pretty. It's not had a very smooth career, unfortunately. So I sort of expected that to continue, if not kind of get worse in his first season. But what also worried me was him playing at left back, because we forget when he was at Bologna, the club he was at before Arsenal, in his final season under Thiago Motta, he actually played as a centre-back. He was a very bold and progressive one. He often inverted into midfield, and he does have history of a left-back, but Calafiori has the build of a centre-back, and that shows when he's defending in wide areas. So even now, I still think he struggles with this. There's a situation recently against Newcastle. Tino Livramento's going to advance. Calafiori closes him down, and he just has this tendency to arrive very flat-footed, very heavily, and it means by planting both feet, he doesn't really allow himself much room to manoeuvre. So when he's facing an agile player like Livramento, who cuts inside, takes a touch, Calafiori's kind of left stranded, leaves an outstretched leg, gives away a free kick in not an ideal position considering you're 1-0 down against Newcastle near the penalty box. On top of this, struggling off the pitch, struggling on the pitch a little bit defensively, Miles Lewis-Skelly broke through last season, and one of the most impressive young players of recent years. So wouldn't have been a surprise if Lewis-Skelly just kept playing this year and Calafiori kind of faded into the background. But Mikel Arteta has found a way to negate some of these on-the-field weaknesses and get the most out of his strengths.
Yeah, I'm interested in that because if you think about it, Arsenal do have a habit of buying players that can play in multiple positions, and I guess that's probably why they bought Calafiori in the first place.
Absolutely, and I think last season we didn't really see much of that, mainly due to the way Arsenal struggled, I think, at various points. I think Arteta, when trying to firm things up a little bit with Arsenal struggling in the second half of the season, Calafiori and other players didn't get as much freedom. He held this position on the left-hand side when Arsenal had the ball, and he's still got some opportunities to invert into midfield where he likes to be, but he kind of held this position where, as we said, he's maybe not comfortable, at least when he's defending as much. But this season, Arsenal obviously a lot more confident defensively, a lot more confident in general, and Arteta has also made some tweaks to get Calafiori into these pockets of space a bit more, and that just means filling this area of the pitch with different players. So firstly, Zubimendi has been dropping into the back line at points, and that allows Gabriel to shift over and Calafiori to push forward. But what I've appreciated a bit more is when it's Declan Rice essentially trading positions with Calafiori. Declan Rice is a very strong defensive player, so you can trust him in these pockets. But I think Calafiori adds a bit more chaos between the lines in Declan Rice.
Arsenal need chaos, thank you.
I think every Arsenal fan is agreeing with you. And it can be a little hard to describe the qualities that Calafiori has. I mean, there are some that are easy to. He can pass and shoot off both feet. He's pretty skillful for a very big guy. But the thing that I want to focus on is his ability to understand space and lose his marker, and that's what I think leads to the chaos that you guys have been craving. So I've got an example against Fulham to showcase this, and one thing I want to showcase is the trademark Calafiori run. If you watch him closely in every game, he'll repeat this every single time on this left-hand side. So he's at the bottom of the screen. Harry Wilson is the man tasked with marking him. What Calafiori wants to do is to get into this pocket of space between the defensive line and the midfield line. He'll make that run, allow Gabriel to potentially pass to him, or, as Gabriel actually chooses to, pass to Leandro Trossard, who's now free on this left-hand side. This is the point where Calafiori, he's come from the bottom of the screen, he's gone into the top. Now he's going to rotate round and give Trossard the option to play it down the line so Calafiori can cross the ball. Or, as what happens, Trossard can cut inside. Calafiori has taken Wilson away from him, allowing this space to open up on the left for Trossard to do something. As you can see by his expression, there is no one around for him to do anything with. So this doesn't end up coming to anything. Play switches over to the other side. You might think that's the end of that. But Calafiori, as the ball makes its way to Bukayo Saka, he's held his position in this inside pocket here. Wilson still marking him. And as Saka gets down the line to cross it in, Calafiori recognises, hang on, he's going to drop into the box naturally to try and cover the cross. If I hold my position on the edge of the box, I'm going to pick up a little bit of a pocket of space here. Maybe I can get a shot away. And that's exactly what happens. Saka crosses the ball towards the edge. Calafiori gets a volley off that just goes narrowly over the bar. This is something that Calafiori does quite consistently. He's taken 2.2 shots per 90 this season. Do you know who that's more than in the Arsenal squad?
Marcelo Skelly?
No, Victor Gyökeres.
Oh, you came for Gyökeres.
I'll let you decide what that says more about Calafiori or Victor Gyökeres. But back to Calafiori, just rounding off the impact he's made at Arsenal. These are his touches across his game so far. Look at this West Ham one. He's picking up the ball on the right wing, essentially, as a left back on paper. It doesn't really make sense. The one thing I will say about his impact on Arsenal so far this season, if we look at the Newcastle game, this is probably his most limited in terms of touches. And that was a game Arsenal went 1-0 down in quite early on. They struggled a little bit in that game, I felt. And I think that goes to show Calafiori is probably a good barometer for Arsenal's success this season, because he's only allowed this freedom when Arsenal feels strong and secure defensively. When that begins to change, as we saw last season, they can become a bit more rigid. So I think as long as we keep talking about Calafiori having a strong season, we'll do the same for Arsenal. It's that the better Arsenal are, the better Calafiori is, and the better Calafiori is, the better Arsenal are.
Do you think Calafiori is going to be the main fullback for Arsenal? Because, you know, against Atletico Madrid, you saw Marcelo Skelly take that position as well, and he can offer assists and shots as well.
Yeah, that's true. I think with Lewis Skelly, like I said, I've been really impressed with him, but he's still a very young player. Arteta's probably a bit protective of him. And it's worth saying as well of Calafiori, as long as you can protect those weaknesses in wide defending, like we said, then you have a really good player on the ball, and still without it, a really strong athlete who can just bully other players too. So I think as long as you can negate those weaknesses, he'll still be the first choice left back.
So JJ, is your defender as dashingly handsome as Calafiori?
That's subjective, I couldn't say. Do you know Bournemouth?
I do know Bournemouth,
You know how they're really good now?
They are very good, second in the league.
That's right. Well, at the time of filming, yes.
Yes, true.
Now, one of their defenders is called Marco Senesi.
Okay.
And Senesi has been at their club for a long time, maybe 4 years, something like that now. He played a couple of seasons in a row, and then he didn't really get a game last season because they had players like Zabarnyi and Dean Howson.
Dean Howson, yeah.
There we go, remember. So Marco Senesi is a player that stands out to me because this season he is actually in the team. And what's important to note about it and why he's doing well is that Bournemouth have an entirely new back line. Like they sold the two centre backs, but he's also playing alongside a different right back, different left back, and a new goalkeeper this season. And Senesi has become the leader of the gang. That's what he's doing. So of course, Zabarnyi is a PSG player, and you have Dean Howson is a Real Madrid player. These are big players too.
I mean, small teams too, I guess, you know.
Absolutely, but like. It's all well and good being a defender, but you need to be able to pass the ball,
right? Be
progressive with it.
Okay.
And Marcus Senesi, it turns out, is much more progressive of a passer than I ever noticed, which is why I'm surprised by him.
Interesting.
Now Senesi receives the ball here. I wish to ask you, where do you believe the best pass is?
I mean, I'm not a professional footballer, but I'm looking wide, right? There's a player out left that's wide, easy pass, get it done.
Yeah, that seems like easy one. I agree. And when he hits it here, where do you think that's actually going? I'll tell you, it's here. That's the ball.
That's like a low percentage, like in terms of accuracy kind of shot.
You can go through a lot of his passes, and the really good ones are ones like this where you can find a way through. So this beats the press. It goes right the way through 6 players. So straight away now, Kluivert, I think, receives can then just run towards goal. So you can just bypass that really quickly, and that's the benefit you get from having someone who can play a ball like that. And Senesi can do that. And you can see it in his actual numbers here. So really high for pass progression. He's got high numbers for launched passes as well, because he does do that. I don't know if this counts as progressed pass as well, but he'll just.
I didn't even know there was a stats for launched passes.
Yeah. And is it a good thing if you're good at them?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'll take it.
Here he is making a launched pass, but it gets Bournemouth forward, and they keep the ball. They go straight into the opposition third. They've got the ball now. They can play from there. And Bournemouth want to be quite exciting and direct, and go forward like that. So that's a good way to do it. So that's one of the things he does. But it's not just that he is very good at progressing the ball and launching the ball. He's good defensively as well. If you watch any defender, any of their 1v1s on like Wisecout, we go through all their lists, a lot of defenders look worse than you think they are. It's kind of weird. But what you see in Senesi is a lot of involvement on the front foot and the back foot, as in he makes conscious reactive decisions, but he also anticipates and has to deal with things as a reactive kind of thing. So his front foot defending is very active, back foot defending very active, and of course because the way Bournemouth play, he's naturally going to have to deal with that quite a lot because it's chaotic at times. Lots of aerial volume. He doesn't always win his headers either, so there are weaknesses to his game. But he's now back in the Argentina team, or is in the Argentina squad anyway. And he has made the second most interceptions of any player in the Premier League this season. He reads the game very well, and that for me is what makes a defender good. Being able to pass the ball through lines like Pau Cubarsí at Barcelona, but also being able to intercept and break things up, and he's been very good at that.
I mean, it's also super impressive, we mentioned it at the top there, that Bournemouth at the time of recording are second in the Premier League. I mean, it's super impressive.
Yeah, but then like last season, their underlying numbers showed that they should be much higher than they actually finished as well. So we all know that Andoni Iraola is doing a very good job.
Yeah,
so,
very good.
Am I surprised they're that high? Medium.
All right, let's move to midfield, Alex. Who's tickled your fancy for this one?
I'm going to fight an uphill battle here. Someone who has surprised me and I think is underappreciated by everyone that I know is Moises Caicedo.
Oh, mate, come on. Are you actually kidding me? You can't put Caicedo, like one of the most expensive midfielders in the world.
Also Chelsea's player of the season last year.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right.
I'm going to win
Prove it.
all you guys at home over and you two on the table over as well. I think one of the reasons he's actually gone under the radar a little bit for me is Chelsea's struggles this season. We've been speaking about Chelsea losing some games recently and why they're not being as good as we thought they would be. And let's quickly just overview what Maresca is actually trying to do. I think we all kind of know it, but just to reiterate, the goal of Chelsea is to push opposition teams back as much as possible for as long a period of time as possible. And in order to do that, Chelsea set up in a structure that allows them to circulate possession and, if they lose it, be in a good position to win the ball back, to counter-press and to stop counter-attacks. On the face of it, not going well. Chelsea have conceded 11 goals this season and they've lost to Sunderland, they've lost to Brighton. But I don't think...
This is a massive but.
It's a very big but.
Okay, I'm listening.
Listen, you're at the bottom of this curve, I'm going to win you over.
I'm hoping so.
So I actually think the majority of that is down to this part of the pitch. Not this part, the centre-backs. It's a very hot topic in the Chelsea fan base at the moment, so I'll be diplomatic. And to be fair, I think Josh Achimpong's a very promising youngster. I think Trevor Chalobah's a decent defender. But the quality they have there at the moment, especially if Levi Colwill are injured, just isn't the same of what they've got in forward areas. And it means they've got a very fragile core. So Chelsea can pin opposition teams back as much as they like, but at some point they're going to concede a counter-attack, and they're just a lot more vulnerable to them than like a Manchester City, for example. That said, this could be a lot worse because Chelsea, despite the goals they've conceded, as I said, I think it's more on the centre-backs because in terms of territorial dominance, allowing touches in their defensive third near their goal, only Arsenal were conceding fewer touches there. Chelsea have actually held up pretty well. Maresca's plan is actually doing okay, keeping opposition teams pinned back. Now, of course, that is a team effort, but I would argue it is very reliant on one man who is carrying Chelsea at the moment.
Wow.
Moises Caicedo, because some of the stuff he's doing out of possession this season is freakish. And also what he does when he wins the ball back as well is a big part of the reason Chelsea have scored goals too. First example of that is against Sunderland recently, where we've got Geschreuder on the ball. Caicedo's going to hunt him down. He's a new guy to the Premier League. He's going to get a very rude introduction to the league. He turns right, Caicedo follows him. He's going to turn left, Caicedo follows him. And at this point, you might expect me to say, Caicedo's going to win the ball, launch a Chelsea attack, you know, what you'd expect. But Caicedo, you can see why he's looking at João Pedro. He knows if he can kick the ball out towards him, he could put Pedro through on goal. So he doesn't just tackle Geschreuder. He turns his tackle into a pass to set João Pedro through on goal. And if he doesn't square it to a ghost, Chelsea would probably go 2-1 up, and we're not talking about a loss to Sunderland here. So there's an example of Caicedo not just great defensive work high up the pitch, but also doing good things with the ball. I've got one more example that, to be honest, I've wanted to highlight for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
It's from the Brentford game. It's my favourite tackle of the season. Chelsea player on the ball takes a heavy touch. Yarmouk of Brentford's going to retrieve it, going to carry it forward to this point. At best, Caicedo here is going to give away a foul to stop this counter-attack. At worst, I mean, look at the momentum here. There's no way he's going to win this ball cleanly. He could probably just get dribbled past and Brentford go on the counter-attack. Except this is Moises Caicedo, and he can do this freakish ability to make these large lunges very quickly, where in the next frame, he's not just got there in time, he's won the ball cleanly to set Chelsea up on their own attack. This season, he's not just, as we saw with JJ's numbers, top of the Premier League for interceptions. But if we take it back to what Chelsea are trying to do, keep opposition teams pinned back towards their goal. In terms of interceptions in the middle and the final third, Caicedo is top amongst midfielders. He's actually way ahead of most of his peers. So no surprises, doing great work defensively, but as we said, also providing a lot of quality on the ball this season. I've got another metric here from my game plan. It's progressive passes through the middle of the pitch. Okay. Caicedo's amongst the top midfielders in the league. Might look mildly impressive, this graphic, but I'm going to break it down a bit further.
It's interesting to see Casemiro in that graphic as well.
Yes, that's actually a good note, and I'll explain why he might be there, and to show why Caicedo being just above him is even more impressive. So, progressive passes, a stat I think we're all familiar with, passes that progress the ball forward, right? It's a stat I've always had an issue with because it can reward a pass. Let's say you're a centre-back and you're passing out to your left-back, for example. Are you right-footed?
Yes, I am. Well deduced, man.
Thank you. I see you look like a right-footer. A very simple pass to make for you. There might be no one in the way, passing it forward out to the left-back. You've not necessarily put the ball closer to the opposition's goal, and it wasn't that difficult for you to make that pass, but it goes down as progressive, which is why I've classified this as progressive passes through the middle third of the pitch, where it tends to be a bit more crowded and you're directly putting the ball closer to the goal. And that's why players like Casemiro, Adam Wharton as well, in more direct teams rank really high for this metric because they're encouraged to punt the ball forwards. The fact Caicedo is here I think is really impressive because he's at a Chelsea team where firstly they are not much of a direct side, they focus more on short passes, but also the teams they're coming up against tend to be packed in, they're protecting that midfield space. So the fact he's still completing these passes into a more crowded area than I think most of the players here is incredibly impressive and shows the work he's doing this season. On top of that, he's been scoring bangers all season as well.
He only scores bangers. Let's just put it there. Not just bangers, only scores bangers.
Yes, well said.
Thank you.
And on top of that, he's still only 23 years old. He's probably one of the best midfielders in the world at the moment, and he's nowhere near his peak years. And I don't think we're appreciating that enough.
Let's also say Chelsea have got injuries. Cole Palmer, for instance, could actually accentuate your point, but also what you're really saying is that you've got this incredible player who's surrounded by not so incredible other players.
Yes, and that's masking the quality that he's been putting on this season.
So Alex has kind of convinced me on Caicedo. Who have you got, JJ?
Have you heard of Noah Sadiki?
No, yes.
Alex has.
Yes, I'm a nerd.
Alex knows all the players. Noah Sadiki plays for Sunderland. He's one of the many new signings they brought in. He's from Saint Gilloise, where he won the league last season. He's what you'd refer to as a wonder kid. But why am I surprised? Because I hadn't really heard of him before. So it's quite fun discovering these players this season that I didn't know much about. Of course, there is a history of promoted clubs coming up and buying lots and lots of shiny new players who don't actually fit into the Premier League. Maybe they don't have the right physicality, or it's a bit overwhelming. Who knows why some of them can't really do it. But Sadiki, it turns out, is amazing. What kind of player is he, I hear you ask?
Yes, yes. What kind of player is he?
Thanks. He's a centre midfielder. So here he is in the centre midfield doing the centre midfielder things. Nothing too special about this. Receives the ball, little bounce pass around the corner. It's just Sunderland building up on this side of the pitch here. You notice everyone's bunched over on this side, on the right-hand side. And eventually the ball ends up back with the centre-back and there's another player free on the left. Now, why am I showing this, I hear you say?
Why are you showing this?
Thanks. No, it's because what Sunderland do is they tend to overload on one side of the pitch when they're playing, and then they'll switch over to the other side of the pitch because look at this number from who scored. They only play through the middle of the pitch 22% of the time. That's how they progress and attack, right? You know, so it's the least of any team in the Premier League. So the other two sides are where they focus it, and I think it's because they kind of overload players to that side. But Sadiki is a central midfielder playing in the middle of a kind of two there. But look at his touches because he's almost like a winger. Look at that, isn't that odd?
So good, yeah.
For central midfielder.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that before, have you?
No, not at all.
So we're all surprised.
We are all surprised,
Good.
yes. Alex?
Yes.
Very surprised.
Well, how about this? I'll surprise you again.
Okay, go again.
This should be the pass out to the fullback, but it's not.
You're on a roll today.
Because Sadiki moves into space to receive it.
Wow.
A surprise pass. A progressive pass, if you will.
I'm surprised.
I'm surprised too.
Sadiki's not. He takes the ball, puts it over the top, and the striker runs through and goes. So like he's got decent passes, and like he's it's not just that he can move and do all these things, right? So he's really good with the ball. He's got great first touch, but he sees things and he pushes it forward. He's a midfielder. That's what he does. And I like looking at simple things that he does and the positioning he takes up. So here's him again. He's a centre midfielder on the wing against Chelsea. He plays for Sunderland. That would be hard to do. But here he is again, receiving the ball on the wing. Now, against Chelsea, so what we'll do is sometimes you'll play wide to allow players to play inside. So Enzo Lefebvre will be able to move inside. That's quite important for how Sunderland want to play because Lefebvre is really good for them. He'll be the overlapping player at times, but then equally in the same game, he'll be the underlapping player at times. So he takes up different positions to allow others to do things. Now, often when I look at new players, I like to see the very simple things they do rather than anything exceptional, because everyone can take a shot from 30 yards, it looks good. But Siddiqui just does simple things very well. He's fast, he's powerful, he can get away from players. So he gets in behind, he's chased. I think it's Fernandes chasing him. He gets to the box, he's able to shield the ball well, does everything right the way you're supposed to, uses his body to shield it, gains separation, able to turn back, and then passes to Granit Xhaka, who's free.
Can I ask you something about that?
Anything you like.
Granit Xhaka has been really interesting for Sunderland this season in a good way, but then does a player who hasn't got that pace need players like him to be running around them and playing balls back to them?
I mean, it makes sense if that was the case.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Well, Xhaka controls games with the tempo and the passing and things like that, whereas players like Siddiqui run an awful lot. So Xhaka here can then help control it and help with the switches and help calm things down. That's what he does. But you need to be able to run and you need to have energy and athleticism, I think, in the midfield now, especially now. And Sunderland have it, because if you look at Siddiqui's numbers, well, he ranks the highest or second for a lot of them in terms of distance run, total of carries he makes, progressive carries, and interceptions as well. He's just one of these players that turns up everywhere all over the time to be able to break things up and make things happen. Because when he wins the ball, he then carries it. He's got loads of progressive carries. Like, there's loads of them for Sunderland. So he's obviously very important. You can see a lot of them focused on that left-hand side when they play down that side. But also just normal, smaller carries, not even progressive ones. He runs with the ball. He's got the speed and athleticism to do it, but he's also just really good in tight spaces. He's a really surprisingly good player, but also good tactically for what Sunderland are doing. Because again, I mentioned when they go to the side, he plays there. So that's not what they do every single game. So here's him just playing in the left-back slot here. But again, he's starting at centre-mid in this game against Brentford. But he'll play at left-back because that means that Ronaldo, he's left-back. He can push on forward and then Brentford has to deal with that instead. But he'll rotate constantly. So then he moves into the left wing space. Of course, Enzo Lefebvre can play inside. Ronaldo can move somewhere else. And then when they don't have the ball or where they're just building in the rest defence shape, he's then the left back, but also a centre midfielder. So I think Siddiqui is just one of those players that could easily have gone very wrong. That he signed a random wonder kid from Belgium, and he doesn't turn out to be that great. But I think he's been fantastic for them, and a great signing, a surprising one.
Yeah, I think so. But also, just in general, I think Sunderland have done some pretty good business in the last window, haven't they?
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, as JJ said, I think they've signed a lot of players that on paper you think this could go very badly, but they've all seemed to have worked out.
Yeah, very good indeed. Right, as we're talking Sunderland, let's talk some more because at the time of recording, I think they're currently 4th in the Premier League. Well, here's Liam Tharm to tell us why.
Welcome to What's Changed, presented by Boyle Sports. Sunderland are having the best start to a Premier League season by any promoted team for 17 years. So, what are they doing differently? Sunderland were the youngest team in the Championship last year, and after finishing 24 points off the top, many considered them relegation candidates, especially after losing key players. That's why they spent big this summer, making 12 permanent signings, including a new midfield partnership with Xhaka pulling the strings, which means they can mix their build-up. Sometimes going short, sometimes going long. Robin Rush, an excellent shot-stopping goalkeeper. Nordi Mukiele, who's reinforced the back line and created 2 goals with his long throws. And Wilson Isidore, the ideal target man for their system, with 4 goals already. But it's not just the players. Regis Lebris has made a harmonious squad filled with French-speaking players, creating a strong unit and providing options from the bench. For example, in their 2-1 win over Chelsea, they comfortably changed shape from a 4-3-3 to a 5-4-1. And only Arsenal have a better defensive record than Sunderland. So, after 2 years of all 3 promoted teams being relegated, Sunderland's adaptability has made them the surprise package.
Well, let's talk Sunderland some more because on the Athletic FC podcast, we have been talking about how good they are, but can they sustain it? Make sure you head over to the Athletic FC podcast to listen to that. Right, let's go to my favourite position on the pitch. I'm talking strikers now. Who have we got, JJ?
Have you heard of Jean-Philippe Mateta?
Never, ever heard of the greatest man alive for Crystal Palace.
Well, here's the problem, right? Because you know he's really good.
Yeah, he's very
But we
good.
didn't think he was very good for a while.
I know.
I think everyone was kind of the same. When you look at his numbers, he scored 14 goals last season, 16 the season before that. Before that, it was 2. Because Oliver Glasner saw something in Jean-Philippe Mateta
Gotcha.
that very few didn't. And he's... I mean, did he turn him into the absolute machine that he is? Or
It's such a hard question, isn't it? Or maybe he just felt more comfortable in that system. Who
maybe he
knows?
found magic boots?
Very true. Could
We
be the
don't know.
boots. Could be the boots.
It could all be Glasner. But Mateta, this sounds a bit silly, but he surprises me with how good he is on the regular. So when I watch him play, he just has everything you kind of want of a modern centre forward. He can do it all. But what I really like is that he's doing it now without having, like, Michael Olise's not there for a couple of seasons now, you know, and Eze's gone as
to
well.
Arsenal, yeah,
So a lot of the creation that Palace would have comes from wing backs, but a lot of it with these guys being tight together with Mateta. And so I thought maybe a couple of seasons ago when Olise goes, well, that could be, maybe he won't be as prolific now when Eze's not there. Maybe the same thing happens. But guess what? He just keeps...
He gets getting better.
He just keeps getting chances. And I think it's because of what he does off the ball. It's the way he reads the game. So it's anticipation, it's positioning, it's always looking to try and get on the end of things. He just reads it really well, and he is always between the lines of the goalposts. So he's always where you want a striker to be. You see, this is the runs he makes to give options for crosses, right? So he's always going to be in that box where you want the ball to come in from. This is a kind of an odd example because he's got a teammate who's taking a shot as a bicycle kick from 25 yards out. I think it's unlikely he'll score here, and Mateta agrees.
But Mateta knows. He can see it.
Well, regardless, even if he hits this properly, right, and it goes top corner,
Yeah.
the striker should still be anticipating that it's going to go somewhere where he can get onto it. That's what you do as a good striker.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I've been told I'm not a good striker. So this shot doesn't go in. You'll be surprised to learn again. And but it goes through, and Mateta reads it, gets in behind, and he's there, and you know, he's reading what's happening. Doesn't finish this. He's actually quite a poor finish. Mateta can be wasteful. He's undershooting his XG this year.
That's what I guess in my head Mateta used to be like, quite
Yeah.
wasteful, getting to great positions as we've seen, but never quite finishes the product.
But you have to be in the right positions to get the chances in the first place.
My God, football pundit. Okay, thanks
You've
for that.
got to be able to do that. There's so many players in the past, I think they've done that, where strikers seem frustrating because they keep missing chances, but you still have to be able to find those chances.
Good point.
And Mateta gets more than other players do, so this is what he does. I mean, you can see like his numbers here from this, what do you call this, pizza chart. Goal threat, shot frequency, shot quality, all high. He's clearly like just a really decent striker, that's what he does. But progressive receptions is important.
Tell me about progressive receptions.
I will tell you about progressive receptions.
Okay.
It means he's receiving progressively. Now, when Palace play up to the back, they have a back three. They've got 2 midfielders. They like to bounce the ball around here, right? And what you want to do, in fact, one of the stats you showed earlier was Wharton getting the ball through the middle. He's really good at that, you know. So Wharton can do that sort of thing. But you've got wing backs, you've got wide forwards who might move in and do whatever. You need to get them all forward at some point. You can't sit with the ball at the back all the time. And what Mateta offers, because of physicality, I think, really, he's able to block people off and receive the ball. His first touch isn't always perfect, but he knows when to drop. He's very good tactically as well. So he'll be marked by a defender, he'll drop in, the defender doesn't want to go with him, because if a defender drops in with him, it leaves space in behind for someone to go in behind, so he can just launch the ball over the top. So Mateta times his drops at the right time, drops into space, then the centre-back might be able to just fire a ball into him, just punch it through, and he's got the ball. So it might be a high one, you can control it, you can lay people off. Sometimes it doesn't always go exactly the way you want, but that's what Mateta gives you. And then that allows Palace to play. So when you get the ball into Mateta, you can then play from there. The other forwards can start running in behind because they know the ball's going to get to them. The wing-backs have a trigger to go up. One of the midfielders might push up as well, because then he'll turn, play it on to someone who might fire it out wide to a wing-back, chances in the middle, and Mateta will turn up unnoticed to finish them off.
Ghostly.
Yes, it is spooky season after all.
He was the ghost João Pedro was passing to earlier.
Perhaps he was. And well, here's him being the opposite of a ghost, which is a full person. And he uses his body to shield this really well. So you see this constantly with Mateta. And again, it's not that it's surprising, it's that he's so good at this that he's still playing for a team that isn't in the Champions League, really. So he receives the ball, shields it really well, just controls it, pushes it on to Sarr, like we're saying, who pushes it out wide to Munoz, who's able to get in here because a lot of the chance creation for Crystal Palace comes this way. But look what's happening in the meantime. Mateta, you forgot about him already because you're looking at Munoz out wide. He's just able to ghost into the back, even though he's a real person, and scores inside the box here. Starts to come back. That's what Mateta does really, really well. And then what you have another example of him playing against Liverpool. So he's a lot faster than you think he is. So playing off the last man, waiting for the ball in behind, punch through. Konate is not slow, and Mateta is not either. He's able to use his strength, balance, acceleration to get in behind. Konate can't deal with him. He gets in behind. I think he misses this chance. And again, it's a decent chance here, but places it into the goalkeeper. Mateta will do that, but other strikers wouldn't be able to do this. They wouldn't have the control, the balance, the strength, the speed to be able to do that. And then he's now doing it. I said he's not at the Champions League level yet. He is at an international level.
He is.
He's played for France a couple of times now, and he scored against Iceland. So Mateta in the middle, always anticipating where to be at the right time. It's all about timing as well, positioning, timing, anticipation. The ball comes in, he's in exactly the right place at the right time, between the width of the goal, always ready to get on the end of chances which other players maybe wouldn't get onto. I think he's so much better than we realise half the time.
I saw him play for France in Marseille for the Olympics. Elise there as well, Thierry Henry as coach. He was brilliant. The French fans love him. Right. Can you top Mateta? Because that was very convincing.
I'm not sure I can top Mateta in terms of quality, but I might be able to top him in terms of surprise with a name, Jadon Anthony.
Who?
Exactly. A name that nobody really knew at the beginning of the season.
Look, Burnley fans, I know who he is, but I just was not expecting that.
Fair enough. But I think with Jadon Anthony, it's a name I'm happy to admit I didn't know much about at the beginning of the season. And he's also playing for a team that I think have surprised us, Burnley. They're not 20th in the table. So I thought I'd take the chance to have a look at how Anthony has scored 4 Premier League goals and how Burnley are not rock bottom like I expected them to be. So a quick overview of Anthony's career so far. You might not know, he actually spent 10 years at Arsenal before he moved to Bournemouth. He broke through there in the 21-22 season in the Championship, had a very good year, dropped off when he went to the Premier League, and that could have been the end of it. A Championship play doesn't do very well in the Prem, but he went to Burnley, again 24-25, good year in the Championship, a better year, and he's already beaten his previous Premier League tally for goals and assists. But the thing is, I don't think the goals themselves, he scored 4, have been that amazing. 3 of them have been very, very scrappy. I actually think what's more impressive about Anthony and Burnley as a whole is the fact they're getting into these positions in the first place, and that's the thing I want to focus on here.
Okay.
So if you haven't watched Burnley this season, I wouldn't blame you. Here's a quick overview of what they're doing under Scott Parker. Unless they're playing against a big 6 team where they put all men at the back, really. The plan is on the ball to set up in a 4 at the back and be a little bit bolder of their shape. When they lose it, though, they're going to defend in a back 5. And it's in this shape that Anthony has 3 key responsibilities. So the first one is, predictably, to help out and defend on this left-hand side. He's attempting, I think, nearly 2 tackles per 90 at the moment, which is at the upper end of a Premier League winger. But when Burnley win the ball back is where he's really helping them, I think. So he's got 2 main responsibilities here. First one is just releasing pressure. Anthony, he's not the flashiest winger, but he's just someone who's very aware of his surroundings. He's a good scanner. And as such, Burnley can trust him to hold on to the ball under pressure and move it on securely as well. So they'll pass it to him to kill a bit of time, allow them to get their players forward, back into their shape that they want in possession. Of course, at some point, Burnley need to get up the pitch to actually start scoring goals. And this is where Anthony's really helped them so far this season, because as well as being there to receive the ball under pressure, he has been relentless in his runs in behind, and selfless runs as well. Not ones that will end with him making a goal or an assist, ones that end with him getting the ball often in wide areas, holding it up under pressure, and waiting for teammates to arrive for support. In fact, amongst Premier League wingers, he is top for carries that start in the defensive half of the pitch and end in the attacking half, which really goes to show how much he's dragging Burnley forward this season. As I said, his goals have not been particularly flashy, or there won't be at the goal of the season montage, I'll tell you, but it's the fact that Burnley are even getting into the box and Anthony is getting into the box to score those goals. That's largely down to him and Burnley as a whole. I think they've surprised me this season, and he's continued to surprise me as well. Yeah, more goals than Victor Gyökeres as well. Well, I mean, we've spoken players, but I guess which managers, in your eyes, have gone under the radar so far this season? Give me a name. On this note, Scott Parker.
David Moyes, who needs love.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including David Ornstein, Amy Lawrence and James Horncastle. With the latest transfer news and insights on every Premier League story that matters, theathletic.com puts you inside football, and you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description.